How are we doing today, Chicago Cubs fans? We are back with another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. I'm going to talk about a low-key name that the Cubs should take a flyer on. We're going to revisit another pitcher that the Cubs were interested at the trade deadline. We're going to talk about the Kyle Tucker trade again. There was a report today by JP Mooney that the Cubs front office brass viewed it as a success, and we're going to hand out, well, not us personally, but we're going to talk about the Cubs handing out their minor league players of the year's award. But before we get into all that, just want to give everyone a big thank you from the bottom of my heart, continuing to show support on the channel. You all are absolutely awesome, and I am really, really thankful for you. And if you guys are new to the channel and you're enjoying the content, please hit that thumbs up button, share your thoughts down below, and of course subscribe to the channel. So let's get right into it. Alek Manoah, ladies and gentlemen. He's only been in the big leagues for a couple of seasons, 4 years to be exact. He was a rising star for the Blue Jays. Absolutely sensational. He had a 6 WAR his second year into the league, and I'm not sure if it was an injury or the yips specifically, but he fell off in that third season. Let's take a look here at his page. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, Alek Manoah is a strong considered. If you can get him on a 1-year prove-it deal, like $4 or $5 million, this guy might be worth a look, right? His record, very, very solid, but let's go down here to the numbers, okay? 2021, 9-2 with a 3.22 ERA. Then in 2022, he was an all-star. He went 16-7, had a great ERA, nearly 200 innings pitched, doing really, really solid. Third in the Cy Young, 17th in MVP, all-star season. Unbelievable trajectory this guy was on. And then in 2023, it just went off a cliff. It just wasn't working anymore. 5.87 ERA. His WHIP was a 1.7. Just I don't know what happened. He only played in 19 games, and it kind of felt like just yippee, honestly. And then he this year wasn't as bad, but he also wasn't good either. He only played in 5 games for the Blue Jays before he was, I don't even know if he was traded to the Braves, but he was a Brave. The Braves did not tender him a contract, so he's now a free agent. I just looked at an article where he could potentially be reuniting with the Blue Jays. But again, if he's truly open to being a free agent, this is a guy the Cubs should strongly consider adding to just the flyer end, right? Sign him to a minor league deal if, there's no major league offers out there. Kind of remember Spencer Turnbull earlier last year? We re-signed him and the Japanese pitcher. He's just going back over to Japan. Kenta Maeda, he was in AAA as well for us. So just, again, another guy that's a flyer. I think he's worth a flyer, honestly. He's only 27 years old. Maybe that was just kind of a yip situation. I don't know. But I would absolutely think about adding him to my ball club. Now, on to the next guy where we would definitely have to trade some pieces for him. That's Edward Cabrera. I really think adding Edward Cabrera would really not just like solidify the rotation, but just round it out nicely, right? We would have a true backup in the sense of, ideally it would be a 6-man rotation, but we could go 5 if someone gets hurt, et cetera, et cetera. We could allow Colin Ray and Javier Assad to kind of more sit into that long reliever role, garbage inning eaters if we're blowing a team out or we're getting killed in a game. Again, I'm just curious as to what the cost would be because the Marlins claim that they are interested in spending money this offseason. But so do the Pirates and so do the Reds. And I'll believe it when I see it, right, ladies and gentlemen? Apparently the Pirates were in on Josh Naylor and they're in on Kyle Schwarber, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure who the Marlins are interested in. But if they're trying to make a push from last season and they're truly consider trading Edward Cabrera, they're going to need more players than just one big prospect or so, right? So who are possibilities that we could trade for Edward Cabrera, right? I mean, again, I'm not going to name Matt Shaw. I don't think Owen Casey would be a fit. But now this is where Kevin Alcantara, names like him would start to round out the package, right? James Triantos, those two guys, maybe paired with a lower-end pitching prospect. I'm not sure what gets the deal done. Edward Cabrera was really, really solid this year. And again, this was a very spunky Miami Marlins team. And we have to remember that because, again, he went 8-7, 3.53 ERA. That WAR isn't as high as you'd want it to be, but it's good for the level of the team that they were on, right? And again, it's the best WAR he's had in his career all season long. The whip 1.228, it's the second lowest of his career as well. So again, the Cubs pitching lab has done a fantastic job for the past few seasons of just kind of retooling pitchers to what we need them to be for success. So if the cost has gone down and the cost isn't too high, that's a name I would absolutely look into for this future, for the future of this Cubs team. Now, the real question is how much control does Edward Cabrera have? Because that does determine the value of the player, right? If the more control a player has, the more expensive he would be on that sense. So let me take a look here. Contract for Edward Cabrera. I would not mind adding his name by any means to my rotation. So yeah, he's got 3 more years after this season. So he's got 4 years total left of control. And that's where it gets costly for these pitchers, right? When you have lots of labor control, and especially even if he hits arbitration levels that are really high and he starts making more and more, it's still cheaper than what you would want to sign him to a deal for anyway. So yeah, I don't know if the Marlins are going to be truly interested in trading him. They were going to probably try and retool to resoar into that next level, but I don't know. I would like Edward Cabrera on the team. I hold Edward Cabrera and Joe Ryan and Mackenzie Gore all kind of in that same class of pitcher where, you know, they're really, really good. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if they're a true number one, but do I think pairing them with Cade Horton puts this team to another level? Absolutely. And Bruce Levine also agrees on that front as well. He said that the Cubs should go after a guy like Edward Cabrera, and that would make this rotation a championship caliber rotation. And I agree with that. All right, so there was an article written today in the New York Times by J.P. Mooney. I didn't read it because I don't have access to the New York Times. I'm not going to pay to read that. All I needed to read was the title and that the Cubs viewed the Tucker trade as a success. Now, I don't disagree with that. I know you guys probably do, but in the sense of helping this team get to that next level, right? The previous 2 seasons, we won 83 games apiece. It just really wasn't hacking it. The offense was up and down. And again, the same results did happen this year too. But once we implemented a player like Kyle Tucker into the lineup, this team went to that next level and got to 92 wins and was able to find a lot of success in the regular season, and we're 1 game away from the NLCS. So again, you just have to think a couple tweaks, a couple different things happen, and we're battling with the Dodgers for the right to go to the World Series. Now, how well that battle goes, I can't tell you, but I understand the premise of the trade. And again, we didn't really give up all too much. Now, could Cam Smith come back to bite us? Absolutely, but I'm not worried about Hayden Wesneski. Isaac Paredes never really did anything all too special for me. So again, I don't mind the deal whatsoever, and I agree in the sense of a success. Now, I don't like the trade if the intention was to never re-sign him, like from the trade get-go, but I do think the Cubs' intention to re-sign him was there. I think they liked a lot of aspects about him. It's that second half of the year where his bat fell apart that it just wasn't going to work out, unfortunately. So, best of luck to Kyle Tucker. We could assume he's not going to be here, but either way. So, the Cubs were handing out the hardware earlier this week. They had a couple of minor league players of the years, and just want to give a shout out to these guys. Maybe guys that could come up and, impact the Cubs team here in the future, right? That's what we need. Impact players from the minor leagues. Now, who could those be? It's a guy we've talked about, and honestly, a guy that I think the Cubs, they need to make a decision on, right? So let's take a look here. We got our minor league pitcher of the year and player of the year, Jonathan Long. He's been in AAA. He was absolutely awesome in AAA all season long. And just another guy that's his MLB ticker is coming due. we need to find a place for him on the roster, or we need to trade him. Now, the minor league pitcher of the year was Justin Florentino, and he's in low A rookie ball. Looks like he's playing for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and so he's got time to develop. But how much does he, help develop this team? That would be absolutely incredible to see. I'm curious to see what his impact could be on this rotation in the future, but I'm not even thinking it's not going to be for a long time with him, unfortunately. But what does Jonathan Long fit on this team in 2026? Is he in the Cubs' plans? Those are all great questions that we have to ask, and we'll continue to explore here on Cubs Daily. So that's going to do it for today's edition. Again, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day before Thanksgiving, probably your last day of work, hopefully for the week. I will see you all in the next one. Again, if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Peace.